Hi, I'm Mary with GoodyGodmother.com, and this is step 2 of building our Tardis cake. So as you can see, I went ahead and I evened out the sides in the cake that we filled previously and added a crumb coat. It's not perfect, that's fine, because we're going to go ahead and fix it later. So now we're going to start the process of ganaching the cake. We're going to do this in several steps. Clear space in your refrigerator because you're going to need to frost, you're going to need to chill both cakes in between each frosting step to make sure the ganache is nice and firm and set up. So right now I'm just going to take my white chocolate ganache and a short offset spatula and going to apply it to one side of the cake. I've attached this cake to a larger cake board to give me a nice base for moving the cake in and out of the fridge without having to touch my ganache, because you want the ganache layer to go all the way to the edge of your cake. If you have a straight edge cake pan, which I did not, you will have a lot less lip here on your 6-inch square cake because you won't have to trim off the sides. You can also do this with buttercream. I've done it before with a Swiss meringue buttercream. Just make sure that, again, you allow plenty of time for the Swiss meringue to chill in between steps, so you can still get sharp edges. You can also do this with a crusting buttercream. So any of your, standard American buttercreams, again, just give it time to set. I like using a ganache because you can get really sharp corners, and once ganache is set, the sharp corners hold up, in my experience, a little bit better than a buttercream. Also, if you are working on this cake over a few days, the ganache is more shelf stable. It doesn't have to be refrigerated unless you have, of course, a filling in your cake that requires refrigeration. Alright, so as you can see, I've just applied a lot of ganache. It's really thick. I'm trying to get it all the way up to the lip. I'm trying to cover my side pretty evenly. And now we're going to start smoothing. So you can see very, very thick. So to start smoothing, I'm taking my bench scraper. This is a 6-inch scraper. You can also use an engineer's ruler with a 90-degree holder. And so I place my bench scraper flat on the larger cake board. Bring it up against the side of the cake. I'm not quite at the edge. And then just cleanly kind of scrape across. And just keep going past the edge of the cake. Wipe that off. And then just kind of pick this up. And then I come back about halfway past the cake. Wipe off the other side. Scrape that off. Pick up any lip. And then just give one more smooth swipe. As you can see, not too bad. Pretty smooth. There are a few little gaps that I can see. I'm going to go ahead and fill that in later, but we're going to move on to the next side. I'm going to give this initial coating a chance to firm up in the fridge before moving on. And you want to make sure that you have enough of your frosting, whether it be ganache or buttercream. It doesn't hurt to have extra, but you're going to be in a lot of trouble if you don't have enough. So for this cake, I actually made 40 ounces of white, I used 40 ounces of white chocolate to make my ganache. And it looks like it will be just enough. So plan accordingly. I'm filling in here. As you can see, there's a bit of a hole looking to form, and I'm going to try to avoid that. Make my life a little easier later. Okay. Now, again, flat on the board, up against the side of the cake, pull across, straight off the side of the board, clean my scraper, lift up, clear across, and up. And now I'm just going to repeat this for the other two sides, and then I'm going to put this cake back in the fridge to allow the ganache to firm, and then we'll come back, fill in some holes, and repeat this process. So I've already gone ahead and patched up some holes in the on the sides of the ganache, and I did this process probably about twice. So now we're going to talk about getting nice sharp square corners. So to get the sharp corners, you're going to take some soft ganache, and this is a chilled cake, and just kind of glob it on to either corner on the cake. As you can see, it's starting to firm up a bit, touching the cold cake. And then I have a bench scraper that I have sitting in some water that I boiled. So I'm going to pull that out, dry it, and go ahead and lay it on the side of my cake. Now the sides of my cake are already straight, so I don't want to go into them. I need to use a light pressure, which is why the scraper has to be hot. And I just pull straight up, being sure that my scraper just skims the side of the cake. Now, I'm going to scrape off the chocolate from the bench scraper, turn my cake, repeat on the other side. As you can see, I don't have to apply a lot of pressure, which is good. And then go back to the first side. And the second side. And as you can see, it's not quite perfect just yet, but that's okay. I'm gonna repeat this. And just like I repeated covering the sides and scraping off the excess to try and get smooth, even sides, I'm gonna do the same for each corner. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the first round on the 3 remaining corners, and then put this back in the fridge to chill. Then pull it out again in about 20 minutes when the ganache is nice and set, and repeat this process for all 4 corners to get a good sharp edge, and then we're going to be back to cover the top.